Hey soldiers, the Federal Reserve has launched FedNow. We need to talk about this because FedNow is going to change the way you interact with money. Everything you do, the way you save, the way you invest, the way you transact, and even giving money to friends and loved ones will be affected by the new FedNow paradigm. Now, we're going to dispel some myths. We're going to define exactly what FedNow is. We're going to go over how they're selling it. We're going to go over the sales pitch because I want you to be aware that all that glitters ain't gold. And then I want you to stick around for the end of this or near end of this video where we're going to talk about how FedNow needs to happen if the government wants to usher in a central bank digital currency and how that CBDC will be a threat to your financial freedom and how it will pretty much abolish any privacy you have around your money. All right, so let's get into it and let's just define what that FedNow is. It's the rail system for instantaneous transactions. All right, you could compare it to Cash App or Zelle or one of these apps that you see in the private sector. Initially, this capability will be interbank. So from bank to bank, it will eventually, the plans are that it will eventually be rolled out to businesses other than banks, small businesses, and then consumers. The Federal Reserve hopes a new, faster payment system will let U.S. bank customers send and receive money almost instantly. But it could be years before the speedier network gains widespread traction. The Fed launched its long-awaited FedNow system, which is intended to allow bill payments, paychecks, and other common consumer or business transfers to be available quickly and around the clock. So this is part of how they're selling this. Oh, instant money, right? We'll get to more of that in a minute. Let's finish defining exactly what this thing is. That is a change. FedNow is a change from the existing slower system that is closed on the weekends and can, at times, take several days before consumers can access their funds. Last year, those older rails handled $30 billion payments, valued at close to 30 billion payments, rather, valued at close to $73 trillion. The Fed system will compete with a real-time payments network built and launched by big banks in 2017. Now remember, here in America, the banks pretty much own the Federal Reserve, all right? So I can see the bank system that they'd already had voluntarily, okay? The banks will voluntarily just go ahead and say, let's just sign on to this FedNow system. It's probably going to save us some money and consolidate things as well. While FedNow would theoretically give customers access to their money immediately, only a small number of banks, credit unions, and other firms that work with lenders are participating from the start. So this is a beta test, basically. They're going to roll it out, kind of slowly in order to work all of the bugs out. Officials have said it could take a couple of years before the system gains more widespread adoption. And that's important because that gives you time to create parallel economies and put some of your assets in the type of holdings that are not included in this system. And we'll get to the threats in just a moment. So that's basically what the FedNow is that's instant payment system. Now, the way they're trying to sell this is financial inclusion. Remember that inclusion word now is a buzzword that's supposed to have a Pavlovian effect on human beings here in America especially. And when we hear it, we're supposed to just drop all pretense of critical thinking and just go with whatever it is that will provide this inclusion. In this instance, financial inclusion. For millions of Americans, getting a payment immediately compared with in a day or two is crucial. An entire section of the financial services industry fills the gaps in today's payment system, including payday lenders and check cashing stores. They effectively offer bridge loans at high interest rates that prevent even more expensive utility shutoffs and overdraft fees. So, okay. Yes, it is true that people on the margins of the economy do have to, unfortunately, resort to businesses like these payday loan businesses, which do border on usury with regard to the rates that they charge. What we should be doing is educating people how to handle their money and how money works, like we do on this platform, so that they can minimize their exposure to these types of businesses. Now, FedNow is not going to be the panacea and change the situation. These people will just get their money faster. They won't be doing any better with it in terms of purchasing assets that could cushion them. Okay. Peer-to-peer platforms such as Venmo appear to transfer money quickly between consumers, but they typically still operate on a slower payment system, which means the actual transfers into consumers' bank accounts can take days. Instant payments are available on these platforms, albeit at a fee. Now, when I use one of these instant payment apps, I have always gotten the impression that it was instantaneous, whether I am sending money or whether I am receiving it. So the FedNow, they're trying to sell this in terms of saying, but it's really not. Your perception, your lying eyes are deceiving you. You're really not getting your money instantaneously. And in the events where I suppose someone genuinely is not, and they want it that way, they want it instantaneously, they'd have to pay a fee. FedNow is offering not to do that. Now, here's the thing. This is a step toward a central bank digital currency. Make no mistake about it. And we've seen that happen. We've seen India roll out an instant payment system akin to FedNow and then place their e-rupee on top of that. All right. So this is, again, a rail system that's going to be able to accommodate that freight train of a CBDC. And that, when it is implemented, will just wipe out all financial privacy you have, because the CBDC will be used in lieu of and instead of cash. Right now, you can make a purchase in cash and have it be pretty much anonymous. Well, Tyrone, why would you suggest making what do you have to hide? Well, maybe I don't want the government to know that I am purchasing some alternative medication to the one that they've suggested, okay? Maybe I don't want the government understanding how much ammunition I buy under my Second Amendment rights, right? So there are many things that I would prefer to use cash for. And we've seen, just think a few years back to 2020, we've seen the government come out and say, if you do not do what we say, we don't have a problem with separating you from your income. Right here in America, it was suggested that, and many of the states did it, New York, California, said you're fired if you don't get this certain medication. All right. So it would be much easier than that, just to cut you off from the source and say you're not getting access to the fruits of your labor, your income, until you comply. So our government has already demonstrated the predilection and propensity to do those things. It would just be a hell of a whole lot easier to do it under the rubric of a CBDC. So you need assets that exist outside that system. Gold, silver, real estate. Okay. Real estate is unique in that you can grow something on it. So you can feed your family in the event that the Fed says you can't have your money right now. All right. This is not hyperbole, folks. This is occurring. So what we offer here are suggestions on how you might want to move. Of course, you have to decide for yourself and you have to do your due diligence. I'm certainly not giving you any financial advice, but I would like you to think about these issues as we move forward into this brave new world. Now, I want you to take a look at this video about some indicators that are out there that point to a coming recession. Understand where we are in the water at all times financially. And that way, we won't only survive these drastic economic changes, this evolving global economy, we'll thrive it. Watch that video. Guys, I'll talk to you soon.